So I want to hear from you guys about rivalry in the sport, and do you think Noah had any real rivalry, or is he now trying to create a rivalry that would give him some form of relevance?
I wanted to know, what do you think of a little rivalry in our sports?
Oh, I think rivalries are great. I love rivalries as long as they're done correctly.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to Review the Replay. I want to talk about rivalry. Not too long ago, Noah was asked about rivalry, and he said that he likes it when it's done properly. Now, I think one of the greatest athletes to have ever done it is Elaine Thompson here. And one thing that makes her such an absolutely powerful performer is the challenges that she overcome. She would have had some of the greatest rivalries, in my opinion. Elaine Thompson era primary rivalries in the 200 meters. Those are Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Shericka Jackson, and America's Sha'Carri Richardson. These are the ones that would pop out to you immediately. All of whom have challenged her supremacy over the years. A rivalry with Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is a generational battle between two of the greatest sprinters of all time. We don't need to even highlight the accolades between these two. That's a generational, once in a generational battle. Jackson emerged as a major contender, notably winning the World Championship in 2022 over Elaine Thompson. Sha'Carri Richardson has also been a significant rival, particularly noted also her interactions in 2022. You know, she's like a sporadical rival. Although Thompson era dominated the last encounter in 2022, she could consider a rival to some extent because they have raced a few times. I don't know if she actually beat. Well, she would have won a few 100 meters, right? There are also notable rivalry with the Dutch sprinter Daphne Schippers. For me personally, this would have been her greatest rivalry. Daphne Schippers, because Daphne was one of the most difficult person for her to beat. We're talking about the 200 meters. That rivalry was insane. Daphne was beating everybody until Elaine decided that it's her turn. Daphne could have also won the 2016 200 meters. It was a very difficult win at the Olympics for Elaine Thompson. So that's the kind of rivalry that pushed Elaine to become the great that she is. She had to overcome the likes of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. She had to overcome the likes of Shericka Jackson. Shericka Jackson had the second fastest time of all time, faster than Elaine Thompson. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce would have been pushing Elaine, and Elaine pushing Shelly-Ann Fraser for a very long time. Now, key moments in this rivalry. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, right? The rivalry between Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Elaine Thompson era. Both of them from Jamaica is considered one of the greatest in women's sprinting history. They push each other to their best performance for almost 10 years, over a decade, for close to a decade, with a pivoting moment being Elaine double gold medal, double gold medal at the 2016 games over the 100 and 200 meters, including a win against Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce in the 100 meters. A lot of people might say that Shelly might have been injured during that race, but what we saw afterwards was just earth-shattering. Shericka Jackson became a significant rival to Elaine Thompson as well, with her dominant performance in the 2022 World Championship in Eugene being a key moment. Personally, I believe that Shericka Jackson was designed, bred, and cultivated, whatever we want to call it, to stop Elaine Thompson. After Elaine Thompson started to acting up against MVP, they just unleash Shericka Jackson on her. So Shericka Jackson was the Elaine Punisher in my mind. In my mind, this was the Elaine Punisher. So Elaine would have had a scary athlete to compete against in Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Another scary athlete to compete against in Shericka Jackson, all of which would have been in the same camp, which suggests to me that Elaine Thompson at her best push those around her, because it might be that they want to beat her to the point where they train to become next level. Shakira Richardson versus Elaine Thompson. They shared the contest, particularly in 2022 again, when Shakira won a 200-meter race with a time that bumped Elaine Thompson to third. However, Thompson was victorious in their final meeting. So it would have been where Shakira would have had an opportunity to get a victory here and there. Personally, I don't know if you want to call Shakira a rival to Elaine, but it's good for conversation, right? But Daphne Schippers, the Dutch sprinter, was a strong rival for Elaine in the early years. She probably is one of the athletes who pushed Elaine to become who she is. That athlete did not give her an easy chance. That athlete was one of those women who wanted to win at any cost. And I'm talking about fairly, based on what I've seen. And it's only injury that derailed her career as well. The speed, the consistency that we saw from Daphne Schippers, it was unmatched. The Dutch sprinter was a strong rival for Elaine Thompson in the early years, particularly in 2016 Olympics. Ultimately, Elaine won gold in the 200-meter finals at those games in a very close race. It was not an easy win for Elaine in that one, not even close. Now, the impact of the rivalry is that the intense competition among these top sprinters elevated the women's sport to a next level, pushing all the athletes to achieve their highest level of performance. And this is one of the reasons why Elaine Thompson could be considered one of the best, or easily the best, because she competed and win against the best. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce cannot necessarily be called greater than Elaine. She can be called greater based on her statistics, but she does not have a record of beating Elaine. The overall winning tally, it would not necessarily go to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. It would have gone to Elaine, in my opinion. Right? Thompson's ability to consistently perform at high levels, especially in the face of such fierce competition, has cemented her legacy as one of the greatest sprinter of all time. And we're talking about all time. We're talking about in the 100 meters. You put her up against the greatest in the 100 meters, she's right there. You put her up against the greatest in the 200 meters, she's right there. And if you put her up against the all-round greatest, she is the greatest all-round in the 1 and the 2. It's a controversial conversation for a lot, but I just highlighted the 200 meters. We could literally do the same for the 100 meters, but it would have probably came down to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Elaine Thompson, and you would probably have Shakira being tossed in there occasionally as well. Now let's talk about Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles' primary rivalry is literally being created at the moment. So to some extent, Noah Lyles would have had an easier path to his legacy than Elaine Thompson. Noah Lyles' primary rivalry in the 100 meters is with Kishane Thompson. Now, if you think about Kishane Thompson as an athlete, a 24 years old athlete who literally came on the scene, or who became a household name at age 22-23. Kishane Thompson is fairly new to the sport to some extent. Noah Lyles at 27-28 is a veteran of the sport, and with back-to-back championships. We saw Olympics in 2021, I think, and championship 2022, 2023. I think now we're going in 2025, more championship. Noah Lyles would have had opportunities to just rack up championship, and without rivals, without any key rivals, because right now the primary rivalry that is going on with Noah Lyles, it might be considered Kishane Thompson, sparked by their tight race at the Olympics. And when you think about it, the tight race that we're talking about, they both ran the same fast time, and Noah Lyles got the photo finish over Kishane Thompson. This also is a very controversial win. Now, even then, we could go a step further and explain that Elaine Thompson was running his third race for Jamaica at that time. His third race. He first suited up in the Jamaica colors in Heat 1 at the Olympics. His very first time suiting up for Jamaica was in Heat 1 at the Olympics. So the rivalry between Kishin and Noah is literally being built. Noah legacy that he already have. It was against no rivalry, right? So Kishin and Noah in that close finish spark a rivalry, right? Then you have Kenny Benerick, and I don't know what is the true reason behind Kenny and Noah's rivalry. However, Kenny got the best of Noah twice at the Olympics. It really would not necessarily stand out because neither of the two times did Kenny win or Noah won. The first time Andre DeGrasse won the 200 meters. The second time, let's see, Tobago won 200 meters. Andre DeGrasse and Noah does not have a rivalry. Tobago beating Noah into third place, they potentially would have a rivalry at the moment, but the rivalry would have jumped past Kenny Benerick and gotten to Tobago. So I don't think Tobago and Noah really have a rivalry of sorts, right? So Elaine Thompson rivalry with Noah is a current rivalry, the most talked about in the sport, intensified by Thompson's narrow victory over Lyles in the recent Diamond League meet. That's just, I think it's Celestia. He got a victory over, they said a narrow victory. He won against Noah. But these are what is being called rivalry, only because he's the biggest name and Noah wants to be the biggest. One would say that this is the biggest because it's the most talked about. Elaine Thompson versus Noah Lyles. Lyles has called for a head-to-head between Elaine and himself in Jamaica, 1 versus 1, which is very interesting. He wanted a 1 versus 1 against Elaine. This suggests that they don't really have a rivalry. They want to create a rivalry between the two. Where Kenny Benerick is concerned, however, after an incident in 2024 US Championship where Lyles won, Benerick expressed unsolved issues leading to a potential nasty rivalry. The two have since spoken and agreed to move past the situation, but obviously Kenny Benerick is not a big fan of Noah Lyles beating him occasionally. But the bigger medals would have gone to Noah when it matters most, only because Noah Kenny have two, the biggest medals would have gone to Kenny, because Kenny Benerick have 2 Olympic silver medals, while Noah would have had 2 Olympic bronze medals, both times losing to Kenny Benerick. Now in the past, Arian Knighton would have been a rival to Noah Lyles, which I don't think Noah Lyles recognized him as a rival, but he would have had faster time than Noah, and then eventually winning a few races against Noah, while Noah came back and won against him. Lyles holds the upper hand in rivalry against Christian Coleman. So most of Noah Lyles, what you would want to call a rivalry, would have came against his countrymen. It would have came against the athletes in the US, but none of these rivalries could be considered real rivalry. Now, what I explained about Elaine Thompson versus Daphne versus Sharika versus Shelly, even Shakiri, that's true rivalry. Shelly is a household name, powerful athlete. Sharika Jackson is an athlete that you cannot beat at her best. Elaine was one of those difficult athletes to beat even by the best. Injury would have derailed Elaine's legacy. Elaine at her best beats anybody. Shelly at her best still does not beat Elaine. Sharika at her best could rival Elaine, but you would have to absolutely be at your best. Elaine is the person that everybody wants to beat. Noah, on the other hand, his legacy is, it just happened. In my eyes, it just happened. It did not really build on any true rivalry, true dominance over time. It just happened. And the stars aligned. The system, the situation came into place. The different problems came into place. And he was properly positioned to take advantage of the situation. So I want to hear from you guys about rivalry in the sport. And do you think Noah had any real rivalry, or is he now trying to create a rivalry that would give him some form of relevance, due to the fact that these people who are the best at the moment, if he was able to, or if he's able to just rub shoulders with those, then he would have had a little bit more of a notoriety. His resume, his accolades would make a little bit more sense. Drop your comments down below and let me hear what you guys think, and let's review the replay. I'll catch you in the next one.